In relation to the serious and violent crime, we have announced in April that there was a dramatic decline, especially the conduct crime category, which includes domestic violence as well as in trio crimes, which include house and business robberies as well as hijacking. Again, this time around, as we have compared crime since the lockdown to crime over the same period in 2019, while the figures remain low, comparatively speaking, we have noted slight increase in some crime categories. The reasons behind the increase or decrease in crime is yet to be determined and confirmed by our crime analyst. However, we do believe that the slight increase is due to the relaxation of the lockdown restrictions, which has seen increased movement of people and traffic on the road as more companies have gone back to the business again. In the conduct crime, if we compare, we'll compare same periods last year or outside the lockdown and inside the lockdown. For instance, 26 March to 21st March 2019 and 27 March to 19 2020. We had murder, that is 2,970, but under lockdown we had 1,072. The difference.
Minister of Police, Minister Bheki Cele, briefing the media on the crime statistics in the country. You will remember at the beginning of a lockdown how the crime numbers decreased. He says now that there has been an increase, and this is due to the relaxation of the regulations as well as people going back to work and perhaps also the opening of the borders when they were open for that specific time. Let's go for a quick break, and when we return, we'll go back to the Minister and that briefing.
On car hijack, we were 1,868 down. On robbery non-residential, we were 1,798 down. On robbery at residential, we were 1,482 down. Cash in transit robberies, when compared incidents of the cash in transit robberies during lockdown to the same period on 2019, the number has dropped remarkably from 26 to 4 incidents. Although the lockdown figures for serious and violent crime are still lower in comparison to 2019, we have noted an increase in hijacks, especially if we compare the first 2 weeks of level 5 to the first 2 weeks of level 4. Most 19th May 2020 of 4 suspects who have since been linked to 18 other hijacks, some of which were committed during the lockdown period, mostly in Boksburg and other parts of Gauteng. The intelligence-led operation between the SAPS and the Specialized Law Enforcement Unit from Gauteng Provincial Traffic led police to Soweto, where police arrested the suspect and recovered suspected stolen goods. 2 vehicles and a gun with ammunition were seized for further investigation. A lot of other crime-fighting successes have been achieved during lockdown. For instance, we have had 2 major drug busts just in the past week alone. Police in Eastern Cape on Wednesday confiscated drugs, mandrax and dagga, worth an estimated value of 4 million rand in a routine inspection at a health checkpoint outside Middelburg in the Eastern Cape. 2 suspects, both foreign nationals, were arrested. On Monday, the 18th May, members of the Hawks intercepted a truck which was en route to Cape Town and found in a container cocaine worth over 30.4 million, and the 37-year-old suspect was arrested. Let me also take this opportunity to condemn the violence in relation to the multiple murder yesterday afternoon in the Gwamakuta policing precincts in KwaZulu-Natal, which is on south of Durban. 7 young men aged between 21 and 36 were killed by unknown suspects, and the circumstances are now under investigation. Police must leave no stone unturned in ensuring that the suspects are found and brought to book. Allow me to begin with welcoming the long-term sentences handed down on 2 convicted rapists yesterday. A 66-year-old Cape Town man, Herman Hanger, was handed 15 life sentences plus 30 years for rape and abduction. We also welcome the life sentence on a former police captain after being found guilty of raping his 10-year-old granddaughter 18 years ago. He was found guilty in 2000 in the in Sterkfontein Court and was given a life sentence. Coming to GBV, I have noted recent media reports claiming that gender-based violence is on the increase. During the week, one report even claimed that GBV cases had gone up by 500% during the lockdown. While not undermining the gravity of the scourge of GBV in the country, it is important to clarify that this increase is actually in relation to the number of distress calls made to the GBV command center and not necessarily reported cases. Actually, when we refer to the gender-based violence, these would cover all crimes against women and children, as well as LGBTQI+ community. For instance, if a woman walking to the shop is mugged and robbed at the gunpoint of her personal belongings by a random suspect, that incident is recorded as crime against women and therefore falls under GBV. Therefore, for purpose of measuring the impact of the lockdown on homes and families, we use cases of domestic violence. With domestic violence, we refer to the incidents such as sexual assault, rape, pointing of firearm, murder, attempted murder, assault, and assault, GBH, kidnapping, and such instances. The victim and suspect usually have a relationship. As I have mentioned before, some of the suspects in such cases are uncles, exes, either could be ex-boy or ex-girl, wives and girlfriends, husbands, fathers, partners, siblings, but people well known to the victim. If we compare the period 27 March to 25 May 2019 with the lockdown period from 27 March to 2020, there is a sharp decrease from 21,000 in 2019 to 6,000 cases of domestic violence during the lockdown, giving us percentage decrease of 68.4%. The numbers are in reference to reported cases. Therefore, there is a possibility that there could be a victim at home who have not or cannot report to the police for different reasons. To assist in this regard so that victims do not feel vulnerable, neglected and unprotected, we urge victims to report to the police, because police can really only come in after the crime has already taken place in the private space of homes. We urge the neighbors who are often aware of have reasons to suspect violent domestic disruption to alert the police. Friends, relatives, or someone within the shared residence may also alert the police about the abuse on behalf of the victim. As far as possible, victims of domestic violence are reminded that they may approach the courts for the protection order and hand those orders to the nearest police stations. The current situation in the COVID-19 lockdown makes it particularly necessary for people to contact the police telephonically, as movement is limited. As an alternative, the SAPS emergency number 10111 can be called in an emergency, including when a crime is in progress. This is for urgent intervention by the police to disrupt further commission of the crime. In areas where there are no 10111 call centers, calls are diverted to the police station closest to the caller. Callers that want to remain anonymous may contact SAPS Crime Stop number 08600 10111 or send a tip-off via My SAPS app, which can be downloaded on Android and iPhone. Other contact details could GBV Command Center 0800 428 428. Childline toll free 0800 0555. Lifeline 0800 150 150. Human trafficking hotline 0800 222 777. Members of the public must also report poor service by the police or lack thereof first to the station management, whose contact numbers must to be visible placed in the CSC. That is the front desk of the South African Police. Complaints can also be lodged with the National Service Complaints Call Center on 080 033 3177. The auto-attendant voice prompts will assist and direct the complainant on how to lodge such a service complaint. An email can also be sent to complaints nodal point at saps.gov.za. Moving away from crime, I want to take this opportunity to pay respect to members of the SAPS, the South African National Defence Force, and all other security forces who are on front line supporting government efforts to deal with the COVID-19. So far, we have 611 members of the South African Police that have tested positive on COVID-19, and 101 of them have recovered, with the Western Cape leading with 441, Eastern Cape follows with 47 positive cases, and the rest of the country sharing the rest. Let me commend the SAPS COVID-19 national and provincial steering committees for ensuring that protocols are in place and that they are being followed. We have been proactive by sending the intensive screening and testing has seen hundreds of members go in isolation and over 3,000 of them quarantined, who most of them have gone back to duties because they have been found to be okay. Our condolences go out to the families and colleagues of 6 of our members who have succumbed to the virus. 2 of these members passed away yesterday in Western Cape, bringing to total 4 of the related deaths in the province. So 4 of them are in Western Cape and 2 in the rest of the country, 1 in KZN, 1 in Eastern Cape. I know that our communities have been nervous about police members testing positive and stations being shut down. The truth is, as soon as SAPS member or PSA employee from any police station or any SAPS building tests positive, the Department of Health is brought on board. Occupants of the specific building are screened and tested. The building or facility must be vacated immediately for decontamination and can only be occupied after a period of 12 to 48 hours after the process. Isolation and quarantine of the members and those who have been in immediate contact with them is based on the outcome of the screening and testing. There are about 121 stations countrywide and 40 units where members have tested positive and the premises contaminated, with the Western Cape being the hardest hit province so far. it is reported that at least 19 stations have had to be decontaminated twice or more. There is a list of those stations here, which is quite long, 19 of them. The occupants of the buildings are screened prior to the
Minister Bheki Cele, they're outlining the progress as far as COVID-19 and regulations are concerned in keeping safety in the country, saying there that gender-based violence actually decreased by over 68% during this lockdown period, and these are reported cases, also highlighting the 15 life sentences that were handed over to a 66-year-old man who was found guilty of rape. Let's go for a quick break, and when we return, we'll go back to that briefing.
The management of the South African Police reiterate their support of all members of law enforcement agencies in the SAPS, the National and Provincial Traffic Police, and the Metro Police, and all other law enforcement agencies on the ground. In relation to the complaints against the police for heavy-handedness, we have noted complaints relating to an incident where a journalist was allegedly assaulted by the police in Vicksburg and has since fled to Lesotho. We confirm that this matter is now with the IPIT and under investigation on again. With the firearm amnesty period about to expire at the end of this month, we have been receiving a number of inquiries on whether or not this will be extended. We have written to the Parliament to request for an extension after noticing the sharp decline in the voluntary handover during the lockdown. Since December, firearms and ammunition were handed in their thousands, and then in April only 385 were handed in. We believe that the sharp decline since April may be because of the lockdown, which has limited the movement of the people, as the handing over of firearms is not necessarily categorized as an essential service. We appreciate the over 16,000 surrendered firearms thus far, including 795 estate firearms. These firearms would be those that would have been inherited from the parents or husband, wives, when somebody dies, and then they're handed over, as well as over 140,000 ammunition handed over in. It is important to always remember that the firearm amnesty is one of our many interventions to curb the proliferation of illegal firearms off our street, as well as those unwanted firearms. This will help us bring down serious and violent crimes that continue to terrorize our communities. In conclusion, as I round up this overview on the crime during the lockdown, let me take this opportunity to extend a word of appreciation to our members from security forces who are hard at work during this COVID-19 lockdown. Let me also wish those who have tested positive for the coronavirus and subsequently fallen ill a speedy recovery.